still ringing in my ears, is the voice of a woman telling of the goodness and perfection of this world. She painted a pretty picture of flowers and butterflies and rainbows. But is that the full picture of this world, where decay, disease, and death abound? Surely, the heartbreak and pain of this world cannot be ignored. The Bible tells us that Abraham, our spiritual father, sought a better world. Hebrews chapter 11 verses 8 through 10, and 16. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. But now they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly. Wherefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God. For he has prepared for them a city. The Bible tells us plainly, that Abraham did not consider this world to be his home. In fact, he looked for something better. Accordingly, God has prepared a perfect, heavenly city for his people. Think about that. If we lived in perfection, why would God need to provide a better place? As designed, this world is wonderfully and fearfully made. God made it just this way, so that it would drive us to the truth. So that it would teach and test us. So that it would force an encounter with God. God made this world the way it is, with all of its harsh realities, so that it would drive sinners back to God. All things above. All things below. All things complicated in our physical machinery. Echo God. According to God's plan, we were created by and live within the mercies of God. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight. But all things are naked and opened unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. This world constantly reminds us of our need for God. It constantly reminds us of our imperfections. It constantly reminds us of our need for deliverance and our need for a deliverer. This world will guarantee your encounter with Jesus. Luke chapter 19 verses 41 through 44. And when he was come near, he beheld the city, and wept over it, saying, If thou had known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace. But now they are hid from thine eyes. For the day shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side. And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee. And they shall not leave in thee, one stone upon another. Because you knew not the time of your visitation. What you do with that encounter is what matters most. In that regard, this world is a perfectly fit place where we should live for our own betterment. Genesis chapter 3 verses 17 through 19. And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also, and thistles, shall it bring forth to thee. And thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it were you taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. Did you hear that? This world is cursed for thy sake. God intentionally made this world the cursed way it is. Because it is for our own good.
Praise Jesus.